Hello, it's Professor Odom. It's Monday, May 2nd, and I just read over the discussion board post about the labor readings, the Harris article in particular. Of course, there was the one whose author I can't remember, but it was the little column in Inside Higher Education about how to increase your chances of getting employment teaching freshman composition if you are studying literature, mostly literature at the graduate level. And I've talked to at least one of you about, even in addition to the suggestions in that article, the importance of getting in-person teaching experience, which, if you are purely an online student of your graduate program, which a lot of you are, is difficult. So anything, if you want to teach, you're determined to teach at the college level, high school teaching experience is great, I think. But like other interactions with college students, obviously, is a good experience too. So if you are an in-person student, then getting some teaching experience here at UT Tyler is really going to help you be able to teach college students after you get your master's degree. There were lots of questions that kept coming up or comments in the discussion board that I wanted to respond to because I can see that a lot of you are as passionate about this issue of, what it means or how to get a job or what kind of job you would get after you get a master's degree. The issue of teaching literature versus composition. So there was some clarification I felt like I could make in the terms that we are using to talk about these different positions and the way the English department is structured. So one is instructor or lecturer or adjunct versus professor. And it's pretty easy to have a clear-cut definition of what a professor is because these are people who will have professor in their official job title, and it almost always means a tenured or tenure track professor. The least experienced, not yet tenured job rank that you can have is assistant professor, and that's what I am. I hope that I'll achieve tenure at the end of my 5th year, 6th year, something, and then I will move up to be an associate professor. And then, so that means you're tenured. You don't have to try to gain full professorship, but some people do, and then they're just called professor. It's not called full professor, I don't know why, but it's assistant professor, associate professor, full professor. If you are not tenure track, then you probably don't have professor in your title, although these titles are somewhat slippery. And the titles for full-time people who teach in colleges really vary. Instructor, I use instructor in the way that I write about teaching, college teaching, to mean anyone who teaches college classes, and that includes people who have professor in their title or people who don't. So instructor is a pretty good catch-all for anyone who teaches college students. Lecturer doesn't mean that you stand in front of the room and lecture. It can be synonymous with instructor, but it's not professor. So for example, we employ 2 people in our department whose title is senior lecturer. They have PhDs, and it's the PhD that allows them to teach upper division classes, and I'll come back to that. We also have a senior lecturer who has a master's and teaches only lower division classes. But there's a senior lecturer in the economics department who won a system-wide teaching award, and she's super famous and awesome. She's farther along in her career than the other lecturers in our department. So instructor is like an umbrella term for people who teach at the college level. Lecturer usually means you're not a professor. So a lecturer could be full-time or part-time. Adjunct means part-time. What other terms are there? I can't remember. But it's sort of inaccurate to say that you want to be a professor if you don't want to earn a PhD and then be a tenure track professor. So college instructor, I think, would be the more accurate term for those of you who want to teach at college level, whether or not you want a PhD. Okay, so there was that, the terms. Okay, yeah, lower division and upper division. Some of the posts kind of rankled me because there is just kind of the numeric or I don't know, just the description of what we call lower division classes, which are freshman and sophomore level. At UT Tyler, there are 1,000 and 2,000 level courses. And then upper division are junior and senior level. Here, there are 3,000 and 4,000 level courses. Lower does not mean worse or less desirable, or it shouldn't. There's like one way of describing these things that's just descriptive and one way that's normative. Like, they are like, just factual, like they are lower division classes. And according to our accreditation body, SACS, you just need 18 hours plus your master's degree to teach lower division classes. And so that's what I was saying. At community colleges, they only have lower division classes, although that's sort of changing, so I can't really make that blanket statement. Traditionally, they only have lower level classes, and so you technically should only need a master's to teach those classes. However, with the job market, like I was saying, community college systems in really competitive areas, like in Austin Community College system, they have a lot of people with masters teaching or adjuncting for them. They also have a lot of people with PhDs adjuncting for them, and a lot of people teaching as full-time instructors there at the community college, teaching lower division classes who have PhDs. Because of that kind of compression, like so many PhDs can't get their tenure track jobs, they kind of they're down into the community college system. Again, I use that downward metaphor not to mean that those are not good jobs. Anyway, so you should be careful about the way that you use lower, because it can mean lower desirability, lower status, lower prestige, or just like numerically. Those are 1,000 level classes instead of 4,000 level classes. Historically and contemporarily, a lot of people prefer to teach the upper division classes because they are more specialized. You get more intellectually sophisticated students that's more likely to be in the area for which you were trained. Like if you're a literature specialist, those are the upper division literature classes. They're the classes that majors take. The lower division classes are general education classes. So something that is specific to literature, English departments, and other kind of like the core liberal arts disciplines, or arts and sciences, that's the general education component of American education, which is not universal. So we have the lower division classes. So we have the possibility of adjuncts, but also the problem of adjuncts, of employing people, part-time. So there are distinctions between like instructors and professors, part-time and full-time. Positions you need a master's to teach, positions you need a PhD to teach, but they're not like hard and fast. And so you like cannot teach upper division classes with a master's because SACS says you can't. You can teach lower division classes with a PhD. Some people really love them. It's not as a PhD, it's not like you start off with the introductory classes and then you work your way up. And it's also not the case that if you are a better teacher with a PhD or a master's, then you get to move from the lower division to upper division classes. One of my posts was about how many bad upper division teachers there are, like professors. These are professors, and they are professors in large part because of their research and their ability to win grant money and support, not because they are better teachers. In fact, it's dismaying to know that less so at UT Tyler and institutions like ours that are not Research One universities. Even at institutions like ours, we as assistant professors are told your teaching is very important. You will not get tenure based on good teaching. You get tenure based on your scholarship. So when you're going up for tenure and you've been teaching those upper division classes, it's only in like really egregious cases that a professor who's going up for tenure won't get tenure because of their teaching quality. Your teaching quality just has to be okay. Like you're showing up. Your grade distribution is not like you're not giving all A's or all F's. You're not sexually harassing the students. you're just kind of doing a decent job, and that's good enough. Your scholarship, your publications are what gets you tenure. So there is not, being a good teacher is not a requirement to get tenure. That is a really controversial issue at a place like UT Tyler, because we used to be very teaching focused. Like, only, you had to be a good teacher to get tenure. If you had publications, that was great. It was also almost like icing on the top. I'm at 10 minutes now. I'm going to try to keep it better on the time. Okay, so those are terms: upper division, lower division. You can choose, in my mind, to see lower division classes as foundational, the most important classes that you teach, or low prestige. And it was really interesting to me to hear some of you talk about in your high school English departments, and like whether pay could be a signal of, do you want your very best qualified, experienced teachers teaching those lower level classes, the 9th and 10th grade classes, or is that like a stepping stone to get the privilege of teaching the junior and senior level classes, or the honors or the AP classes? That's a question that different departments answer for themselves. I see the first year composition classes as foundational and so important, especially if you think about retention, like having an experienced, passionate, good teacher in the classroom for those lower division classes for students who are, they're more likely to drop out than like a junior or senior. Having a really good teacher in there will make it less likely that they'll drop out. Also, that might be the only semester that they're in college for whatever reason, and that might be the one that's like the one semester they're in college, so that's your one chance to reach these students. I just think it's so important. Foundational or less desirable?